Gary Cole. Here. Jess Plumas. Here. And John Hay. Here. We have one comment card from Jim Carpenter and back to you.
Oh, sorry.
Good evening. This may be a bit presumptuous. I would prefer it was after the closed session so that I'm not jumping the gun, but since this is the only opportunity. I've been with the district about 32 years now, and I've seen a lot of superintendents come and go. I've seen Pete Pillsbury, Mark Liebman, Gay Todd, Gary Sina, and now Dr. Fowler. And we've had a total of 2 that left under a bit of a cloud, following a vote of no confidence by the union. Both of those were the only 2 who were not promoted from within the district. In all of those different superintendents, I think we have been generally happier, nobody perfect, but generally happier with the results when we find somebody we know within the district, or at least within the community, to step up to the position of superintendent. And I would urge you to keep that in mind when the time comes to appoint a new superintendent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. You are watching live a special meeting of the Marysville Joint Unified School District Board. The trustees are now leaving to Conference Room 1, where they are expected to discuss a dismissal or hiring of an interim superintendent, and we will be live through that particular process, sitting here in the boardroom, waiting for them to come back and announce what action they took. This would indicate that Fal Azrani, who's been with the district about 3 years, is no longer the superintendent, or will no longer be the superintendent in short order. So we will remain here as the trustees deliberate. You can see there is a sparse crowd here, and we will be back after a few messages.
In the heart of the valley, we rise so bright, where the news flows freely in the morning light. Yuba-Sutter.LIVE, where truth comes alive. Every Tuesday's a journey, it's where we thrive. Watch it unfold. Yuba-Sutter.LIVE, in the heart of our home. Be informed, be wise. Yuba-Sutter.LIVE, we capture it all. Policy debates, hear the people's call. With Yuba-Sutter.LIVE, you'll never miss a beat. Special reports hit hard, shining a spotlight. Yuba-Sutter.LIVE.
Yuba-Sutter.LIVE's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com. It's been our pleasure to be drinking locally roasted, home-delivered Bridge coffee for more than 5 years, and to have Bridge Coffee Company fueling our Yuba-Sutter.LIVE live streams for that long. You may have heard that Bridge Coffee Company is closing its roasting operations in Marysville at the end of the month and closed its Clark Avenue coffee house earlier. We're going to miss seeing these wonderfully cursive names on hand-labeled bags greeting me here at the doorstep, and the enjoyment of a trip around the world of coffee without having to leave home, or to enjoy Bridge coffee at various places around Yuba-Sutter. So will my friend Dan Damon when he visits and plays piano. Even Stormy is going to miss Bridge Coffee Company. Bridge Coffee made an impact locally, the true nature of which might not be realized for a while, particularly when its seasonal bowstring bags aren't in local kitchens or offices. As Bridge Coffee marks its final days, creator Tim Stasinski moves his talents to UC Davis and continues his passion, coffee. As Tim thanked us for his support, we thank him and his associates for supporting us. We'll miss you and remember you long after the last batch of Bridge coffee berries runs out.
Thinking good vibes one day at a time. At Edible Memories, life is sublime. In every bite, you'll find a dream. Join us now, let your heart beat. Step inside, sharing the fun. Edible Memories Bakery, where happiness runs.
Edible Memories Bakery, 321 3rd Street, Marysville. EdibleMemoriesBakery.com.
In the heart of the valley, we rise so bright, where the news flows freely in the morning light. Yuba-Sutter.LIVE, where truth comes alive. Every Tuesday's a journey, it's where we thrive. Watch it unfold. Yuba-Sutter.LIVE, in the heart of our home. Be informed, be wise. Yuba-Sutter.LIVE, we capture it all. Policy debates, hear the people's call. With Yuba-Sutter.LIVE, you'll never miss a beat. Special reports hit hard, shining a spotlight. Yuba-Sutter.LIVE. Yuba-Sutter.LIVE.
And a good evening from the Marysville Unified School District Trustees Boardroom at the old original North Campus of Marysville High School, where the district offices were relocated many, many years ago and where the board has been meeting with a number of, or over a number of years, with a variety of superintendents. And it looks like there is a superintendent change about to happen tonight with an interim superintendent that is apparently going to be appointed. That is what we find on the agenda tonight. And you are watching this special report, as we say, live. If these kinds of live reports or our regularly scheduled Tuesday board meetings, including the October 8th trustees meeting that will occur here, we welcome your support financially. There is a little link down in the bottom of the text that you'll see at the bottom of the screen, and it'll allow you to click a button and make either a one-time or a recurring contribution. And we get support from a number of folks, including the Hasty family in the Plumas Lake area with Plumas Lake Self-Storage, and a number of other folks that have found that our live streams to the community are very helpful. So if you want to help out, we welcome that kind of assistance. And we are waiting for trustees to come back and take their seats again. As you can see, there is a sparse crowd here. There are representatives from the Marysville Unified Teachers Association. We heard one teacher speaking that has been with the district for many, many years. And as we pan the trustees' seats, as we wait for them to come back, Frank Crawford is absent today. Gary Criddle usually sits next to him. And then we have a new name. I believe this is the new student member who was introduced at the last board meeting. That is the empty chair where Fal Azrani would normally be seated. Then we have Chair Randy Davis, Doug Criddle, who is running against some competition for re-election, Allison Hasty, Dr. Chong Yang, and Dr. Seth Steeman, who are the two newcomers to the board as of the last election. So we will be seeing what happens as the closed session that is occurring in board chambers, conference room 1, and see what's happening with that. And we are going to stay live here until the trustees return. Looks like we have 8 people who are watching on our YouTube channel, and we thank you for doing so. We like to bring you live news. We like to bring you prepared reports that can condense a lot of things that have happened in a particular situation, like the Marysville Hotel fire. Try to keep you updated on that. And if you'd like to see more of that, your financial support is very, very helpful. We're actually the guy pushing the buttons in addition to doing all the talking, so that, let's see here, a few buttons that should loop this, and we'll tell people what it is that we're talking about here. Ted Langdale, Yuba-Sutter.LIVE. You were the one speaker that was here at the board meeting as it began. Can you tell us who you are, how long you've been with the district, and what you told trustees before they went into closed session?
My name is Jim Carpenter. This is my 32nd year teaching with the district. I teach middle school, Yuba Gardens in Olivehurst.
Is that where you've been all this time?
No. The school that I started at was closed down. That was Alicia. Alicia Intermediate. I spent the first part of my career there. Oh.
1968, 69, left there 69, came to Marysville High School.
Oh, okay.
Then spent a year here before the family moved the business in Linda out to Carolina.
Okay. Well, I was a warrior as a middle schooler myself, so coming back home. But what I said was I've been through quite a few different superintendents, and my opinion is that we are much happier when we promote from within the district rather than looking for somebody outside the district. We've had, I think, 5 different superintendents in my time. 2 of them came from outside the district. Both of them received votes of no confidence from the teachers union, and both of them left with a cloud over them, where the others, none of them were perfect, but we knew who they were, we could trust them, and it was a different feeling. So my thoughts are, I hope they consider that when the time comes to hire a new superintendent.
So, of the superintendents that you've served under, who seemed to impress you the most, and what about that person seemed to make it work with the district's teachers and the staff and other employees and the parents and the students?
You know, I don't think I can pick a favorite. The 3 that I knew that came from within the district were Pete Pillsbury, who I started with. Pete started as a paraprofessional in the district, worked himself all the way up from that to the position of superintendent. I was very impressed with that. I thought he was a very level-headed guy, very forward-thinking, but took things one step at a time. However, that was the very beginning of my career, so I didn't have the same background, the same perspective. After Mark Liebman, we had Gay Todd. Gay started out as a teacher, went to principal of McKinney, and from there became the superintendent. She was a known factor when she came in. I think she did some very good things. Being the superintendent, we also had some butting of heads with the union, but for the most part, I think that she did the best that she could and left the district in good shape. Gary Sena had a very short tenure. I'm not sure he got quite a fair shake. I've known Gary for quite a few years, and I think he's an outstanding guy, and I was sorry to see him leave. He started out, he was a student here in Marysville, went from teaching to being the principal of the Marysville High School, and was passed over when Mark Liebman was hired for superintendent. So he went out to Wheatland, and he came back when the position opened again, and I was glad to see him get it. He's in retirement now, and I wish him well. And the other two are Dr. Liebman and Dr. Asrani, both of whom came from outside the district. I didn't know either of them beforehand, and I think that some of the struggles that they have had just stem from the fact that they are from outside the community and that they don't really know us as well, and we did not know them as well.
So Pete Pillsbury still lives in the area. Gary Sena is still in the area. Any idea whether they might bring Gary Sena back out of retirement, or would he be interested?
I haven't seen Gary since he left the position, so I really don't know that. I knew him professionally. I bumped into him a lot of times. We did several things together while we were both with the district, but I don't know him on a personal level that way, so I can't say. And by the way, Gay Todd is also still, I believe, still in Yuba City.
We had Gary Sena as a colleague when we were teaching the Marysville, or I should say the ROP radio TV class in its last 3.5 or 4 years of existence. And I started out as a senior in Marysville, or at Yuba City High School. Because I was 18, I could drive myself over to Room O and then take part in the class as a senior. Graduated in '73, got into news when I was a school.
I know your name. I'm not sure just...
KUBA, Ted Langdell.
Okay. And I think we've met there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I listen to KUBA all the time, and I've been in the station many, many times, so...
Now, you wouldn't have to be the Jim Carpenter that's on the OPUD board, would you?
Not anymore. I didn't run for re-election in the year 2020, excuse me, but I am the former director, yes.
All right. And where did you grow up in the Linda area?
Olivehurst. Johnson Park, actually. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember a carpenter that lived on Grand Avenue that went to Alicia.
There were a couple of, no, I'm an Air Force brat. When my dad was stationed at Beale, we were the only ones in my family in the area. But there were the other carpenters, just no relation.
Of what Dr. Asrani has got started in Marysville in this district since she came, what do you see is working and is needed?
I would really rather not go there. I didn't come to say anything good or bad about Dr. Asrani. I wish her well, but she did start a lot of initiatives, and I know that the union has felt that she did not consult the way she should have, that I don't think she laid the groundwork in many cases that she should have, but it's certainly in everybody's best interest that things work well for whatever she has done.
Well, I appreciate your talking with us, Jim, and sharing your 34 years, 35 years, 32 years. That's an awful long time. And you've been at Yuba Gardens all that time?
No, this is my 7th year at Yuba Gardens. I started at Alicia, and when they closed Alicia, I went to Linda, then to McKinney, and then moved to the run the Indian Ed program, the American Indian Education program, for 4 years, and then came to Yuba Gardens from there.
How have these schools changed in that period of time?
I would say one of the biggest changes is they've all grown in population. Many of them have taken on quite a few new portable classrooms. Excuse me.
Go ahead.
For instance, the school that I grew up at Johnson Park, when I was there, the very first portable classrooms went in. Everything other than that was the original building. Now there's a sea of portables out there, and the school is unrecognizable from my day.
A lot has changed in the district. I'm Ted Langdell. We are here in the boardroom of the Marysville Unified School Trustees, and we are waiting for the trustees to take some action that may include hiring an interim superintendent. That would indicate that Fal Azrani, who's been with the district for about, I think, 3.5 years, something like that, has been or is being replaced effective tonight if they take action. There are people from the Marysville Unified Teachers Association that are over on the far side of the room. And Jim Carpenter, with a lot of experience in the district, both as a teacher and a student, has been sharing some of his experiences with us. How do you think students have changed since you were a school student?
Well, I'd say particularly with the advent of the internet, and prior to that, other electronic devices, personal devices, it's in many ways they seem more worldly. They're exposed to much more than I certainly was at that age. I think the community in my childhood was more settled, and people were, I think, less mobile, less inclined to move on a regular basis, and so our roots were deeper, I believe, at that time. Now, that may not be true of everybody, but in my experience, that's what I see as kids who are much more transient.
How do you think electronic devices have affected students' classroom behavior or their ability to get the work done or understand the concepts or deal with homework?
It's hard to separate a young teenager from their cell phone. The school rule is that it should be off whenever a student enters the classroom. That takes a lot to enforce that. It's not easy. I think that we still have a large number of very good students who come to school every day, prepared to learn, wanting to get everything they can out of their education, and I'm very happy to see that. But there are many more avenues for those who are interested in other things, who were not engaged in the classroom, and who want to find something else. And it can be tough to compete with that.
Yeah, I ran into that when I was teaching the ROP radio TV class, because I had quite a wide range of students' abilities and interests and that sort of thing. Some were quite interested in learning in general and learning about broadcasting and that sort of thing, and others were people who needed 10 credits of ROP or vocational credit and got parked in the class, and that's why they were there. And it was a very interesting and challenging experience, and it gave me an awful lot of respect, even more respect for teachers, and I think I've had some good ones over the years.
Well, I'm sure you have, and I thank you for that. I think COVID turned a lot of people's minds toward the difficulties that teaching entails. When you're trying to get your child to pay attention to the teacher through the internet, at home, at the dinner table, it's a challenge. And it was a challenge teaching under those circumstances. I hope we never have to go through anything like that again.
Well, I hope so too, and that all of this is a learning experience that can become beneficial to everyone involved, the students, the parents, the teachers, the staff at the school district that helps support what is going on in the classroom, and the administration and the board members that are charged with oversight and implementation. So thank you for talking with us.
Thank you, sir. It's good seeing you again.
All right. That is Jim Carpenter, who's spent 32 years in the Marysville in the Unified School District as a teacher. Grew up in Olivehurst and went to Johnson Park and other schools, Yuba Gardens. We are waiting here for the school board to come back. The trustees are in conference room 1, figuring out what to do in terms of an interim superintendent. At least that's what's on the agenda for tonight. And we are live here in the boardroom, and you are watching on Yuba-Sutter.LIVE, which is our local version of television here, such as we have. And it looks like we still have 6 people watching on YouTube. Thank you very much. And we've got a couple of people that are on our Facebook channels and watching, and we hope that you are learning something as we are able to talk with some of the people that are gathered here. Some of the folks that you will see are Marysville Unified. We'll pan the camera over that direction, widen the shot a little bit. We see Marysville Unified Teachers Association President. Let's get the camera over there. That's MUTA President Angela Stegall on the left there, and one of her colleagues. Don't recognize the back of the head there, but it seems familiar. And then we have several people from the district staff, and they are all waiting to see what happens here in the boardroom at Marysville Unified School Trustees. We are meeting in the what used to be the Marysville High School original campus. It was built about 1927, if I recall correctly, 24, 27, something like that. And it doesn't meet what's called the Field Act standards, which is why they had to abandon using it as a school. The Field Act was the result of earthquakes that happened in 1932, I believe, down in Long Beach, and a school collapsed. Ask me how I know all these things. I've had to research them. So, there goes Jim Carpenter, and you see the people that are in the boardroom. Not as large a crowd as some people had led me to think what might be here. We have a variety of meetings that come up every Tuesday night, and every Tuesday, actually, and beginning on October 1, that's Tuesday, October 1st, we'll have the Yuba Water Agency. We'll have the Marysville City Council meeting at 6 o'clock, and the Yuba City Council meeting running at the same time, 6 o'clock. Yuba Water Agency is at 9 o'clock. And then the following Tuesday, the 8th, there will be the Yuba County Supervisors meeting at 9, 3 o'clock, Sutter County Supervisors, and then we have the Marysville Unified School District Board meeting from this boardroom, live streamed through the help of this gentleman who's sitting right over here. His name is Russ. He doesn't get credit for the good stuff that happens, and usually has a little bit of a pained look on his face when things are not working technologically correctly, but he manages to get things done, and the show goes on, as it were. So congratulations to Russ here, who is one of the people who works for the district and doesn't get much mention in a positive way, or maybe mention at all, but he's the guy who makes things happen here in the boardroom and probably elsewhere around the district in ways that I'm not aware of, or I would tell you about them. And we see pictures of a variety of schools on the back here. One of the things about the Marysville Unified School District meetings that's happened in the last year or so is that each of the school principals and assistant principals prepares a school report that are then presented. Usually 2 or 3 different schools present at the beginning of each of the Marysville Unified School Trustees meetings they meet monthly unless they have special meetings. They used to meet the same days as Yuba City Unified. So You will learn a lot about the schools and what's going on if you tune in and stay through the presentations, look through the board agendas, and just join us for that. And if you find that helpful, we would appreciate your support, either through a one-time contribution or through a recurring contribution of any amount. It doesn't have to be big. Enough people, it all adds up, and it enables us to pay the bills for the equipment that we use for the live streaming, the streaming services. Marysville Unified Teachers Association President Angela Segal is coming over this way, and maybe we can get her to talk to us a little bit. Have a seat. Angela, can you talk with us here? There she is, having a seat. There she is. Angela, you've been teaching in the Marysville district for how long?
This is my 28th year here.
Do you think it's unusual that we have people who have been in the district that long, like Jim Carpenter here, who was talking with us earlier?
No, I would think that we have a lot of teachers here I know we have a lot of teachers here that have over 20 years, 25, 30. We have a decent number of teachers that are 30 and above, 32, 34, 35 years.
So you've been teaching for quite a long time. Where did you start out in Marysville?
When or where?
When and where?
When I started at Marysville High School in September of 1997. I've been there ever since.
What do you teach?
I teach English and I coach our academic decathlon team. I used to also teach history, but now they got me just down to English.
So you're still running the debate team?
Academic decathlon.
And how is that going?
Right now, it's still early in the year, but we've got quite a number of students that are interested, a lot of new students who have joined the team, some veterans. We've got our theme for this year, and so we are just kind of getting started this year.
And what is the nature of the academic decathlon, and how does this work?
Academic decathlon is actually the premier academic competition in the United States and within the state of California. And so you have teams of students. They have to represent all the GPA levels and all the grade levels. You can't have just like all 4.0 students. And we study 10 subjects, including what I call the usual suspects, like literature, math, social science, science. We also have economics, essay, speech, and interview. And we have what's called a super quiz. And we have a theme every year, and this year's theme is surrounding climate change. And so the teams all compete. Every student has to compete in all 10 events. They can't specialize. And so they really work really hard. It's a lot of collaborative effort, a lot of team effort, a lot of teamwork. Helps them with study skills, helps them with prioritizing and budgeting their time, as well as the academic end of it.
So where does the first competition take place, and how does that work?
The first competition is always your county or regional competition, which is the first Saturday in February. And sometimes we do part of the competition the week before so that we don't have quite such a lengthy day on that Saturday. But the students take tests on computers that test their knowledge of the curriculum that's in our binders. They also then will have an interview in front of a panel of at least 3 community members. They also have a timed essay that they have to do, much like some of the other, like your SATs, that kind of thing. They also do a speech event in which they have a 3.5 to 4 minute prepared speech that they give in front of a panel. And then they have a 1.5 to 2 minute impromptu speech that they have to give. And then, like I said, they have the super quiz, which is in front of everybody. The students kind of like to refer to it as like a quiz bowl / Jeopardy kind of event. Which is really exciting because that's the portion that's open to the public, and the teams all get to kind of see each other and kind of really compete kind of head to head a little bit, and they get to have their fan base there, and their families get to see them, and we get to invite the staffs from all the schools for the teams that are involved, and so it's really exciting and a lot of fun.
Sounds like something that ought to be on Yuba-Sutter.LIVE.
I would think. I mean, we've had that conversation before, so you have come out and helped us out quite a bit in previous years. And when we were going to state competition once, you came in and interviewed the students and had them on Facebook Live, and for them that was really super exciting. They had a lot of really positive response to that. We were getting ready for state, And then after we came back from state competition, you were nice enough to come back and interview them with their medals, and they got to feel like celebrities and rock stars, which they are.
Send me some information about the schedule, and I'll get working on seeing if we can't find some sponsors and underwriters to help with that.
I can do that.
So the Teachers Association voted 95% no confidence in Falazrani, who'd been the school superintendent here from out of the area for about, 3.5 years now?
3 years. She was hired in September, the end of August, and started in the beginning of September of 2021. And we had 94% of our teachers voted no confidence in the superintendent.
Why?
There were a lot of reasons. We had a document that our membership had put together that was about 8 pages in length that delineated a number of the issues and problems. There were things having to do with communication. There were things having to do with, or items having to do with the finances of the district. There were also a number of issues having to deal with honesty or lack thereof, and a number of issues regarding the complete and utter disregard of our contract and our contractual rights, and those consistently being violated. And so we had a number of problems that had to be addressed, and when they weren't being addressed, the only action that we felt that we could take that would really let not only the district, but our board and the community know that there were serious problems that needed to be addressed and needed to be addressed ASAP. We had made every effort at trying to resolve these issues previously. We had made every effort, numerous attempts at trying to work through these items, and every single time it seemed like things just got worse instead of better. And there were promises that were made, and then promises broken, and apologies that were made that were completely empty and valueless. And so we finally had no other choice but to have the vote of confidence, and not just for our teachers, but more importantly for our students. We have, as much as our contract is for the teachers, our contract is also for our students. We are here primarily for them, and not just for ourselves. And so that's why, even with our union shirt, our working conditions are our students' learning conditions. And so that is where we felt like we had no choice but to have that vote so that we could let people outside of Marysville Joint Unified know and draw attention to the issues and problems here.
So for those of you that are just joining us, we're in the Marysville School Board Trustee boardroom, which is, I think this used to be the cafeteria at Marysville High School back in the early years, or was that where the print shop is now? I don't know. It's been a while. I went here in 1969 and 70, and I had most of my classes on the South Campus, where what used to be Yuba College until it moved out to North Beale Road. And Yuba College is an extension of Marysville High School, which built this building in 1927, I think, if I'm correct. And then several years later, about 10 years later, they built the Art Deco style or modern. You try talking and listening to yourself with a little bit of a delay. Anyway, so if you're just joining us, what we're waiting is there apparently has been a change in the superintendency here. It is possibly vacant and has been since Monday, and there is on the agenda tonight discussion by trustees in closed session, which is what we're waiting for them to conclude. A discussion about appointing an interim superintendent, at which time they will come back out and let us know what action, if any, they took in that closed session. They've been in closed session for a little bit over half an hour now, and I would hesitate to ask you what you may have heard because it can't be easily confirmed, but what do you know?
As far as the appointment of the interim, I know probably about as much as anybody else. I know we got an email last night saying that there was going to be a second special board meeting for this week. And when I looked at the agenda for it, the second item in closed session was appointment of an interim superintendent. And so that's how we all receive notice, which I'm sure is how most of the community and parents and people like yourself heard about it as well. So that's about what I know, which I think is probably why there's at least a decent number of people here this evening, as we're all wondering exactly the same thing. So who is the interim going to be? And then from there, we feel like we can start making some headway and start, as I like to say, putting the wheels back on.
The last board meeting, regular board meeting, it seemed as though there was a lot more interaction between the board members, several of them anyway, and yourself and some of the other people who were in attendance and who had been speaking. Is that new?
That is very new. That last board meeting was a change, a shift, one that I'm not used to recently. Many years ago, when I was first within the bargaining team for the teachers union and was coming to a lot of the board meetings, there was more what I think of as like open dialogue between the board and people who spoke and the union, in that if there was a question being asked and somebody had an answer to it, if they raised their hand, they were allowed to speak. Not that it was, I don't want to give the impression it was a free-for-all. It was not. But if there were questions being answered and a conversation could be had, kind of a question and answer deal, that was a long time ago. And so the last board meeting, that kind of dialogue back and forth and being able to have a voice and voice some of the issues that were going on and respond to the questions that were being asked was pretty helpful and beneficial, and a trend that I hope continues.
And I noticed that when there was a kind of a workshop type of a board meeting where there was discussion about the budget, that there seemed to be a lot more back and forth with trustees and yourself. What was the feeling like for you at that meeting?
Initially, it was almost kind of bizarre, but then the feeling was that it was more conversational. And so it felt like we were able, again, to kind of have like a Q&A instead of just being spoken at. And then it was a lot less frustrating because since we were able to actually say something, speak, ask a question, or respond to a question, it actually felt like the hope was, anyway, that we were maybe possibly being heard, and that what we were having to say was being taken in and hopefully listened to. And again, that was a feeling of being hopeful and that maybe we've got some brighter days on the horizon. That's the hope.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm trying to find a cable that I can plug in and keep the show going here because I'm down to about 90% battery lives.
Whoops.
Yeah, whoops, is right. I was expecting this to be pretty quickly, and it's now taken more than half an hour. And usually my stuff stays up longer than that. I don't know. What I've discovered is that my batteries don't have enough amperage to power everything they're trying to power. And I don't happen to have a powerful enough wall plug, or wall wart, I should say, to plug in and go from there. We've been talking with Angela Stiegel. Angela is the president of the Marysville Unified Teachers Association. She's been teaching at Marysville High School for 27 years, which is a long time in anybody's book.
I would say so. I have.
And here comes Randy Davis, so we may have an announcement. Thank you, Angela.
Thank you.
So we're waiting for the board members to return. And there goes Randy Davis, out again. Not sure what that means. They have been in closed session for approximately 40 minutes. And we will remain here as long as our batteries hold out. If we have to come back. Keep looking for us to come back up on Facebook at LiveStreaming.YS. That is our usual Facebook page, LiveStreaming.YS, and also our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/the @ Yuba-Sutter and the word live. Okay? And if you need to find us on Facebook again, facebook.com/LiveStreamingYS. So again, we are waiting here for, and I am not Angela Stigall. This is what happens when you try to do 12 things at once. Anyway, there we are. And again, we're waiting for the school trustees to come back, and maybe they will do that before I run out of battery. So we're going to take a brief break here while I look for something. And it looks like something's dropped off here. Oh, there we are. And it looks like we have 10 people watching on Facebook. Thank you for watching. Here's a look at what we do.
In the heart of the valley, we rise so bright, where the news flows freely in the morning light. Yuba-Sutter.LIVE, where truth comes alive. Every Tuesday's a journey, it's where we thrive. Watch it unfold. Yuba-Sutter.LIVE, in the heart of our home. Be informed, be wise. Yuba-Sutter.LIVE, we capture it all. Policy debates, hear the people's call. With Yuba-Sutter.LIVE, you'll never miss a beat. Special reports hit hard, shining a spotlight. Yuba-Sutter.LIVE. Yuba-Sutter.LIVE.
And we are back with our live special presentation. And we see Randy Davis and other people that are school board trustees coming back into the room. And Randy Davis has seated himself. So maybe before we run out of battery, we will get an announcement about what they decided in closed session. We're waiting for him to call the meeting to order. One board member is still missing. Frank Crawford, I should say, is absent. And we're waiting for Dr. Chong Yang. There may be public comments after the announcement, and we'll see what the reaction in the room is. Hopefully we are 6% batteries left will allow us to carry the announcement. Your financial support, which you can make by clicking on the links in the bottom, will help us to acquire some of the higher powered battery power that will keep us running. It's now about 8 or 7:20 p.m. and we're waiting for Dr. Chong Yang to come back. And I believe as soon as he does, we'll learn what action the board took, if any. That is Marysville Unified School Trustee President Randy Davis. And one of the Criddle brothers just went out to go see where the missing trustee is. We've been live for 50 minutes. And here comes Gary Criddle back again. And we don't have a tap into the sound system here, so we're just going to have to hear what everybody else hears. Thank you for watching. We've got 12 people watching on one of our Facebook streams and another 10 folks watching on YouTube. And here comes Dr. Chang. And here is Randy Davis.
Please stand. Salute. Pledge. Thank you. Please be seated.
Thank you. We have two reports out from our closed session 2.1. The board took action by unanimous vote of all trustees present to approve a medical leave for Superintendent Dr. Val Oswani. On 2.2, the board took action by unanimous vote of all trustees present to approve the appointment of Roxanne Brown to serve as an interim superintendent. Ms. Brown's appointment as interim superintendent during the 24-25 school year will be finalized upon the approval of an employee contract at the board's next regular meeting on October 1st, 2024. Meeting adjourned.
There you have it. Roxanne Brown, I believe, is the lady's name, who will be the interim superintendent for the coming remainder of the school year, it seems. And we don't know who she is, but we will be trying to find out a little bit more about that. And perhaps we can, in our remaining battery power, do so. Stay tuned. I'll be right back. So here we are, and we've asked President Davis to set up some information, give us some information about who this interim superintendent will be. So please stay tuned, and hopefully we don't run out of battery. We're down to 3%, and we believe the gentleman is coming over. He's the bald-headed gentleman over on the far left-hand side up at the dais there. talking to board president. See if we can get a shot of that. And there we go. So we hope to learn a little bit more about the interim superintendent. Before we lose the juice. We appreciate you tuning in tonight. And this has been a special presentation of Yuba-Sutter.LIVE. It is 7:25, and we are witnessing live regime change in the administration of the Marysville Joint Unified School District. So hopefully they will be able to conclude their conference up there, and before we run out of our 2% of battery, have some indication of who she is. Otherwise, we will grab a camera and we'll do an interview and we'll put something up as quick as we can get something up. I'm Ted Langdell, and you are witnessing a change in the administration. The superintendent of Marysville Unified School District has been granted a medical leave, and an interim superintendent is being appointed subject to approval of a employment contract. And we're going to give us a sign off right now because I don't know that, oh wait a minute, here comes Randy Davis.
The district's going to release a press release later this evening.
But I'm live. Is it possible for you to give us a little bit of information about who she is and where she comes from?
Let me get my notes.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it very much. And if we run out of juice, we will do an interview with him and go from there. So we're down to 2%, kind of like lightweight milk. And we thank you for your watching here. We are coming to you live from the district offices in the old Marysville High School building from the 20s. We're doing live, but it stays up on Facebook and YouTube. Okay. And I'm going to try to do an interview with, whoops, let's get the camera up there. Going to try to do an interview, oh, here he is. So, okay, let me get the camera on you. And we appreciate you doing this. Randy, in a thumbnail sketch, because I'm running out of batteries here.
Yeah.
Who is the interim superintendent?
The interim superintendent is Roxanne Brown. She lives in Reno, Nevada, but she has extensive experience working in this area. She worked at the Yuba City Unified. She worked in Grass Valley. She's worked in Nevada City. And one of the things we just chatted with her to just get a feel for her.
She was here today.
No. We just had a phone call. Today, and she comes highly recommended by our legal team, and we think that she's a good fit for us for the interim, and she's used to some of the challenges with unions, which is one of our challenges right now, and she is physically conservative, and so she's gone into a lot of challenging situations with budgets and deficits, and has had a big success in resolving the districts that she's worked with. So I'm just happy that one, she's available. She'll be here tomorrow, sometime in the afternoon, we're told, and she will be full-time on Friday. So we will be working with her contract and getting that set up, and then as we said in the board meeting, we will approve her contract in October at our regular board meeting.
So a little under 2 weeks from now, the October 8th meeting?
Yes, in the October 8th meeting. And that and she will be here. So, people can meet her and interact with her. So
Do you anticipate this may lead to a more collegial relationship with the school district's teachers union and the teachers?
We certainly will make that a priority. I mean, that's one thing that